My name is Tom Parkinson. I'm the senior pastor at United Church. What a joy it is to be together in the house of the Lord together. As we prepare to go into a time of prayer today, I wanted to take a moment to just address with our congregation something that I shared with you by email on Friday. And if you don't get our congregational emails, we have a couple hard copies of that email available to you in our greeting area. So you may have heard the news that the General Conference of the United Methodist Church, of which our church is a part, had its first meeting since 2019, and that meeting wrapped up on Friday. And there were thousands of things that came before that General Conference in the 10 days that they met. And we're only beginning to process what all of those things mean. But the headline story is that for the first time in the history of the United Methodist Church, same-gender weddings are no longer prohibited across the board. But what they've done is they've said that every pastor and local church have to decide for themselves whether or not they will perform same-gender weddings. Now, I don't want to get into a whole lot of this today because it's still very fresh. But what I do want to acknowledge is that we're not a congregational church. We're a connectional church. And what that means is that for all of our history, when it comes to issues of doctrine and belief, we haven't decided what those things are. It's part of our connectional church, and that's been decided for us. And now, for the first time, we're being asked to make a decision about doctrine and belief around marriage, and that's just not something we've ever done before. We've never performed same-gender weddings because our connectional church prohibited that, and now we're going to have to figure out what's our view on that. And so this is something we've never done before. We don't have this, go-to process for how we handle something like this. And so while the work of the General Conference ended on Friday, our work has only just begun. And so the first thing I just want to say to you is, I wasn't there in Charlotte. I'm learning these things just as you're learning these things. And so I'm trying to catch up and understand myself. But the second thing I want to say to you is this: I know you. I love you. And I know you enough to know that there are different perspectives on this topic in this congregation from godly, Jesus-seeking people. I know that. I also am wise enough to know that there are many churches that have divided and eaten each other alive over topics just like this one. I know that. But I also know you, and I know your heart, and I know your spirit. And I know that we're going to handle this with patience and integrity. And here's the key way we're going to handle this: gentleness. We're going to embody the fruit of the Spirit that is the spirit of gentleness. Gentleness with each other in our interactions, gentleness in the way that we approach conversations. Now, our leadership board is scheduled to meet on May 20th. That's their normal, regularly scheduled meeting. And at that meeting, they'll begin to unpack and process all that the General Conference decisions mean for us. Once they've had a chance to do that, we'll inform you. And anything that we need to do to create a decision-making process, we'll inform you. And what I promise to you is total transparency. We are not going to devolve into petty politics. There's not going to be a bunch of backdoor meetings where we figure everything out and then force that upon this church. We're going to do this together, and I promise transparency and gentleness and the Spirit of Christ in the way that we embody and do all of this. And so I just want to encourage you to patiently come along with us, be gentle in your own approach to this, and be prayerful. We have a beautiful church with individuals who each bring unique stories and gifts. That doesn't have to change. And when we steward well the things that God has given us, I believe God can strengthen us as a church through a moment like this. Now, we'll have lots of time for me to say more about this, and there will be proper context for that. But for today, I just want to pray for our church, United Church. And I want to pray for us.